Well, meanwhile, Ukraine has said its troops have liberated a key southeastern settlement, Robotyne, and its forces are trying to push the Russian front line further south. Joining me for more is defence and security analyst Professor Michael Clark. Professor, good morning to you. Good to see you. Let's talk about Robotyne. What is it? Why is it called a settlement, and why is it so significant that they're focusing on it?
Yeah, nobody cared much about it before, but Robotyne, it's south of Odekiv, which was the main place that the Ukrainians are pushing for, but it's on the high ground. There's a sort of a ridge that runs north-south, and Robotyne is on the ridge. And so from Robotyne, they can see all of the low-lying ground. They can see Tokmak in front of them, which is their next target, and they'll be going for Tokmak, which is a very important place. So for now, they're pushing south of Robotyne. We knew a few days ago they'd taken it, but the Ukrainian Ministry of Defence confirmed today it is now firmly in our hands, mopping up operations. We've got it, and they're actually moving south. They're getting towards Novoprokopivka, which is a little village further south. So they're on their way to Tokmak. That will be tough when they get there, and the Russians may well flood Tokmak when they get there, but nevertheless, that's the route they've got to take. This is route one, trying to reach the coast, or as close to the coast as they can get during this offensive.
Okay, and have the Ukrainians changed their tactics at all?
No, well, they adopted different tactics because they dismounted, as it were. Because it was so tough at the beginning, they had to get out of their vehicles and they had to take them trench by trench, tree line by tree line, which is why it's been slow and it's been very expensive. And there's some awful stuff out there you can view, which is my job to look at. It's pretty galling material, actually. But yeah, they've been doing it. They've been clearing it piece by piece on foot before the vehicles can then move up properly, and that's what they're doing. But they're beginning to get some momentum now. And meanwhile, the Russians are taking some of their elite forces in the north. The Russians are trying to go towards Kharkiv to get back in that northeast corner. And they've been fighting at Kreminna, which is north of Bakhmut. And the 76th Air Assault Brigade, so an elite Russian unit, they've been withdrawn to send them to Robotyne. And the 7th Mountain Unit, again, it's an airborne unit, has been withdrawn from Kherson to send them to Robotyne.
If they've lost it, why would you send all these elite forces there?
Because they're going south of Robotyne to actually stem the tide. Okay. So the fact is that the Russians don't have an operational reserve. They're having to take forces from the front line to another part of the front.
So is that how armies usually operate? You have operational reserve?
Yeah, it's usually two up, one back. So for every 2 units in the front, you keep one behind as a reserve. But the Russians have got everything on the front line pretty well. And they're having to take elite units from the front line to back up what's now happening south of Robotyne. So it's good for the Ukrainians, but of course it means it will get tougher as they move towards Novoprokopivka and places like that.
And just finally, the MOD here is reporting that Russia has probably cancelled an annual military exercise. Why would they have done that?
Yeah, Zapad 23. These Zapad annual exercises are big. The 21 one, Zapad 21, was the biggest since the old Soviet days. And they're obviously designed to tell us something about the size of the Russian army. They've cancelled it, we assume, because they probably don't think they could put a convincing one on. Maybe it wouldn't look not very good to the Russian public when they know that the war itself is very tough. So it's probably a mixture of lack of equipment, because it's all at the front, and a fear that it might just go wrong in propaganda terms.
Okay, fascinating. Professor, thank you so much. Hopefully see you in the next hour.